I accepted a job to film a public service announcement about environmental protection and animal welfare in Tibet. Everything was going smoothly until our team's vehicle broke down due to a faulty fuel gauge, leaving us stranded and in need of urgent assistance. The signal was unstable, and we couldn't get through to the convenience stop despite several attempts. My young assistant was frantic, her voice on the verge of tears. "What are we going to do? I've heard there are wolves out here at night." There were many self-driving tourists on the route. But since we couldn't reach the convenience stop, our only hope was to seek help from passing travelers. However, luck wasn't on our side. As dusk began to settle, not a single car had passed by. I was about to try my mobile once more when the sound of a car horn pierced the air. A black SUV slowly emerged from around the bend, eventually coming to a stop in front of us. The window lowered, revealing the fresh, delicate face of a young woman. I recognized her as Bronte Hensley, our company's newly signed artist. She was following a similar career path to my early days, playing up the innocent youth image. Before I left for Tibet, she had also vied for this public service announcement gig. I hadn't expected to see her here. Judging by her attire, it seemed to be a personal trip, unrelated to work. She appeared just as surprised to encounter me, her eyes widening in shock. "Miss Standish, what a coincidence to meet you here. It seems our paths are destined to cross." The young woman then gave a shy smile. "I hope you don't mind, Miss Standish, but I truly love this place. Even though I didn't get to participate in the PSA filming, I decided to come and see this sacred land for myself." "Oh dear, has your car broken down?" she continued chattering, but suddenly the door on the other side opened. A tall man's figure entered my line of sight. As our eyes met, I froze in place. It had only been 6 months, yet it felt like a lifetime ago. His black windbreaker made him appear even more unapproachable and stern. Behind me, I could hear my assistant whispering, "Oh my God, I had no idea Bronte Hensley had such a handsome boyfriend outside the industry. He looks so distinguished. Could he be some big shot?" I lowered my gaze. This unexpected reunion left me at a loss for words. Wilfred Bromley, however, seemed in no mood for small talk. He simply opened the back door and said in a tone that brooked no argument, "Get in. I'll take you to the convenience stop first." Of course, I wouldn't refuse this long-awaited chance for rescue because of some tawdry past romance. I silently got into the car. From the front passenger seat, Bronte's voice carried a natural tone of disappointment. "Mr. Bromley, we could have seen the sunset over the snow-capped mountains." But then she brightened up again. "Of course, helping others is more important. After all, Miss Standish is my senior in the industry." I clutched my sleeve tightly, remaining silent as we bumped along the rough road, leaning against the window. Before the plane took off, I sat in first class with my eyes closed, trying to relax. Over the intercom, the flight attendant reminded passengers to turn off their devices in a clear, loud voice. Just before my assistant pressed the power button, an entertainment news alert popped up on her phone screen. The headline was eye-catching, with a bright red breaking banner. #Rising starlet Bronte Hensley spotted in Snowdonia, possible romance exposed, man rumored to be Westminster Circle bigwig #. In the accompanying photo, Bronte was seen with her hands clasped in prayer towards the snowy mountains, as if making a wish. The man standing beside her was silently gazing at her focused figure. His long fingers were wrapped around a string of rosary beads. In all of Westminster Circle, only Wilfred Bromley was known to always carry rosary beads. The internet exploded with speculation. My assistant looked shocked. "Miss Standish, no wonder Bronte Hensley dared to directly challenge you for resources. She's got Wilfred Bromley backing her." And to think the man we encountered today was actually Wilfred. In hindsight, I realized how excited my young assistant was. Winifred, my manager, noticing my grim expression, tugged at the assistant's sleeve to remind her to speak less, while looking at me worriedly. "Meredith, are you all right?" Behind my sunglasses, my eyes still held a hint of moisture that I couldn't control. I shook my head and said calmly, "It's fine, it's all in the past." But somehow, memories of my time with Wilfred Bromley suddenly flooded my mind. Back then, I would link arms with him, smiling coyly as I pleaded. "They say couples who make wishes in Snowdonia will be together forever. Wilfred, when are we going to Snowdonia?" He'd briefly look up from his financial magazine, his hand absently ruffling my hair as he chuckled. Once I'm done with this busy period, I'll take you there. But I never got to go. The promised trip to Snowdonia, he ended up taking someone else. Few people knew that I once had a relationship with Wilfred Bromley. At that time, I was an unknown fourth-year student in the drama department. For our graduation performance, the university's grand hall was packed, with VIPs sitting in the front row. Our supervising professor repeatedly stressed the importance of this event. If we caught the eye of a major company, our careers could skyrocket. But something unexpected happened. During a running scene, a dazzling move caused me intense pain. A strong sense of imbalance nearly made me crash to the ground in a sliding kneel. Laughter erupted from the audience. I felt a sharp pain in my foot and the warm sensation of blood flowing. It dawned on me that razor blades had been placed in my shoe. Looking at the people laughing below and my concerned castmates on stage, I felt everyone could be the culprit, yet no one could be. It was the first time I truly appreciated the ugliness of human nature. But I persevered and finished the play. The professor in charge couldn't let an accident happen at such a crucial moment, so he brushed it off with a few words. I limped out of the university hall. The stars above were dim, and I could hear music resuming inside, making me feel even more wretched. I curled up on the steps, finally unable to hold back my tears, which fell freely. Until a warm, calm male voice spoke above me, "Don't cry. I can take you to the hospital." The familiar voice made me look up. In the dim light, a man stood steadily before me. The streetlight cast his shadow long, an orange glow surrounding him. The once carefree youth had shed his naivety. His hand, with distinct knuckles, offered me a tissue. Once, on a rainy summer day at the campus gate, I was struggling with my bicycle. He stepped out of a luxury car and handed me a black umbrella. "Use this to get home, or I can give you a lift," he had said. But now, his gaze showed he clearly didn't remember me. This was a long-awaited reunion, but only for me. I awkwardly declined his kindness, but as he was about to enter the hall, a surge of courage welled up inside me. I didn't want to miss this chance. Gathering all my courage, regardless of whether I was overstepping, I stood up just as he was about to enter the hall. Mr. Bromley, thank you." Wilfred Bromley looked back against the light, his eyebrow slightly raised. His gaze tinged with mild amusement. "You know me?" After 2 days of non-stop filming for a charity project, I was exhausted but couldn't sleep soundly on the plane. I dreamed of my first encounter with Wilfred Bromley in my youth, then of our reunion, and finally of the scenes where I had meticulously planned our chance meetings. In the end, I dreamt of our breakup. Perhaps his lofty self-esteem and sense of control were challenged. Wilfred's eyes were cold as ice when he looked at me. "Meredith, have I spoiled you too much? You can tell me directly what you want. If this is your game of playing hard to get, I advise you to stop now." I looked earnestly at the face that had haunted my dreams and spoke each word with conviction. "Wilfred Bromley, let's break up." The glass shattered in his hand, and I left without looking back, pulling my suitcase behind me. We had been together for 3 years, but our parting was far from graceful. The roar of the plane landing jolted me from my chaotic dreams. This trip wasn't announced to my influencers, so there was no one to meet us. We few walked through the VIP channel, which was quite deserted. My young assistant, always one to liven things up, was dragging a huge suitcase while gossiping with us as she looked at her phone. It seems this Mr. Bromley truly adores Bronte Hensley. Usually, the private lives of big shots aren't widely reported by the media, are they? This trending topic is getting more intense. I suppose they've allowed an official announcement. My assistant was fascinated by these affairs of the upper class, her face full of youthful romance. She didn't know about my history with Wilfred, so she spoke without reserve. "It's like a novel come to life. To think such a good man exists in our world." "What good man?" Winifred couldn't help but scoff. In matters of the heart, one person's loss is another's gain. I knew she was speaking up for me. After all, I had been with Wilfred for 3 years, and my name had never appeared alongside his. To be fair, this wasn't entirely Wilfred's fault. Even if Wilfred had been willing to be openly with me back then, making a grand announcement to the media, I wouldn't have agreed. My career was just taking off at that time. With his immense power in showbiz, if we had gone public from the start, I would have forever been seen as his appendage. Everything I gained through him would ultimately be lost if I lost him. So on the matter of going public, we remained silent by mutual understanding. Winifred looked at me with concern and lowered her voice. I'm worried about you. Let's go back to your flat tonight and have a proper drink. I had been signed under Winifred since I joined the company, and she had witnessed too many of my emotional ups and downs because of Wilfred. Although she always understood that Wilfred and I wouldn't end up together, she was still very concerned about my mental state after learning that I had completely parted ways with him. I sighed and responded in a soft voice, Winifred, I've come to terms with it long ago. I've truly let go. It was only recently that I realized I had truly let him go. After filming the charity video on the mountain, while the team was packing up the equipment, I hung 100 meters of prayer flags on Snowdon and scattered some more along the way. With the wind whipping around me, I spread my arms wide and closed my eyes, silently making many wishes. I wished for success in my career and peace for the rest of my life. I wished for good health and fulfillment for my family and friends. I prayed for world peace. In the moment I opened my eyes again, I belatedly realized that Wilfred Bromley was no longer part of my wishes. Yet initially, when I had hoped to come to this place, it was for one simple desire. I wished that my love and I would always look at each other with the same affection. The trending topic hung high on the rankings for a day before being quietly taken down. After a day of rumor fermentation, Bronte Hensley finally issued a vague statement. Each time the wind moves the prayer flags, it's a prayer recited, a wish sent to the divine. I hope all my dear followers are safe and happy. Please don't let your focus stray, alright? The comments below were all disbelieving. The opening lines left room for imagination. Even the company executives were keen to text me for gossip. I heard from Bronte that you two bumped into each other in Tibet. Is she really with that businessman as the rumors say? My gaze instinctively focused on the scabbing wound on my arm. After I got off at the convenience stop, the staff immediately arranged for medical assistance. I sat on a stone by the entrance, lost in thought. Wilfred Bromley, whom I thought had long gone, appeared before me again. His tall figure loomed over me. Before I could speak, he had already crouched down, precisely spraying disinfectant alcohol on my accidentally scratched arm. The sudden sting made me cry out in pain. Wilfred lowered his brows, his jawline tense with concern. Meredith, is this the outcome you wanted? Bronte stood beside him, her hanging hand clenched into a fist, tightening again and again. This scene seemed to flaunt at me, as if saying, see, Meredith, your resolute departure and pride are worthless. I never lacked for your presence. I abruptly pulled my arm back. Mr. Bromley, you don't know what I want. He pressed his tongue against his cheek, laughing bitterly. Wasn't what I gave you these 3 years ever enough? My expression remained calm, my tone distant. Mr. Bromley, our paths differ. We cannot work together. During those 3 years, my occasional sulks were always soothed by his words. This was probably one of the rare times I spoke against him, with an utterly uncompromising attitude. Wilfred stood up angrily, leaving with a parting shot, just don't regret it. Arguing with an ex in front of a new flame, without any attempt to avoid controversy, wasn't gentlemanly behavior. So, I couldn't understand his relationship with Bronte either. But in the end, it was none of my business. The altitude sickness seemed to have finally caught up with me. My head felt heavy and dizzy as I lay in bed, sleeping for a full day. I was awakened by a barrage of calls from Winifred. For heaven's sake, you've finally answered. The makeup team is on their way to your house. Don't tell me you've forgotten about dinner with the directors and investors today? The tightly drawn curtains blocked out all light. I blinked in confusion before it dawned on me. I had packed my schedule for the past 6 months, working almost non-stop. After wrapping up 2 films back-to-back, I had taken on a role in a series adapted from a popular franchise. Today was the agreed meeting day with the directors and investors. Though it was called a casual dinner, it was actually a grand networking event, inevitably involving a fair amount of drinking. I let out a long sigh, already feeling a headache coming on. Just as I entered the club, I received a call from Winifred. Her voice on the other end was indignant and unsettled. Guess who I saw while parking? I saw Crispin Tenby, looking all smug. He came over and made some snide remarks about you. Winifred imitated his tone. Well, Winifred, it seems our Bronte is doing better than your Meredith, doesn't it? Crispin Tenby was Bronte's agent and Winifred's archrival, known for poaching resources the company had arranged for Winifred's clients. Winifred was fuming. What's he so pleased about? Just because Bronte and her rumored boyfriend are trending lately? Who knows if it's even true? Besides, everyone in the company knows Bronte's just copying your early style. She's nothing but a knockoff version of you, signed by the company to imitate you. Don't get upset, I said, standing at the entrance of the private room. Faint laughter could already be heard from inside. Winifred, how Bronte's doing has nothing to do with us. Winifred sighed. You're right. You'd better go in now, don't keep the directors and investors waiting. Just as I hung up, I heard Bronte's voice. The young woman, with her impeccable makeup, blinked with a hint of mischief. Sister Meredith, were you talking about me? Then she pushed open the door first, her tone carrying a barely noticeable hint of smugness. What a coincidence, it seems we're attending the same business lunch. As I stepped into the private room, Director Edmund Chamberlain was the first to rise. Well, speak of the devil. Our leading lady and supporting actress have arrived at the same time. Around the table, all seats were occupied except for an inconspicuous one and the second seat of honor. The director gestured invitingly. Miss Hinsley, I hope you don't mind sitting next to me. Bronte Hinsley smiled charmingly as she exchanged pleasantries with him. The honor is all mine, truly. I silently took the other seat, feeling my left eye twitch involuntarily. After several rounds of drinks, Edmund, now in high spirits, began toasting everyone individually. Come now, let me first raise a glass to our leading actress. I had barely touched my glass when I saw Bronte already standing, her champagne flute clinking against Edmund's with a crisp sound. Bronte downed her drink in one elegant motion, her challenging gaze brushing past my face as she tilted her head back. After toasting Bronte, Edmund turned his attention to me. I wonder if our supporting actress would care to join us? His tone of inquiry carried a hint of non-negotiability. From the moment Edmund had approached me, through my reading of the script and analyzing the character's psychology, I had prepared for so long to play the leading role. Now, with everything ready and on the verge of signing contracts, not only had the lead suddenly been given to Bronte, but I was also expected to drink to my acceptance as the supporting actress in front of these capital investors. If I refused, I would effectively offend the capital. They wanted Bronte as the lead, yet still aimed to use my reputation to maintain the show's popularity and generate discussion. Truly the machinations of old hands in showbiz. Of course, there was anger at having my role snatched away, but such occurrences were all too common in the entertainment industry. I didn't let Bronte see my frustration. Setting down my glass, I smiled graciously. Director, my acting skills are limited. I'm afraid I can't do justice to the supporting role. As for my drinking capacity, I fear I'm not up to sharing a toast with you either. In this small world where we constantly cross paths, I chose my words carefully. Bronte, however, was quick to interject. Meredith, dear, is it that you look down on me and that's why you don't want to work with Edmund? Because. This sudden gust of suppressed words indeed caused Edmund's smile to fade. It seems Miss Standish isn't willing to give me face on this matter. Mr. Barnaby Harmsworth, a longtime investor with Edmund, also chimed in with displeasure. Meredith, don't be ungrateful. This business lunch isn't for you to offend capital. Without a backer, it's hard to maintain a long-standing position in showbiz. Whether you seize this opportunity or not is up to you. His words exerted pressure on me, syllable by syllable. But I had worked so hard, relying on my own strength to reach my current status. While offending capital would undoubtedly harm me without any benefit, I wasn't entirely powerless against them either. However, just as I was about to voice my thoughts, the door to the private room suddenly swung open. Wilfred Bromley's cold voice rang out. I had no idea people in showbiz behaved like this. I looked up in panic, meeting that familiar face. Bronte Hinsley stood up with delight. Mr. Bromley, what brings you here? The expressions of those seated at the table changed unpredictably, each with its own merits. Mr. Harmsworth, in particular, rose awkwardly. Mr. Bromley, it's a misunderstanding. We were just having a laugh with Miss Standish. I picked up my mobile from the table, preparing to leave, when a hand firmly gripped my shoulder. Wilfred Bromley, seemingly oblivious to the embarrassment and discomfort on Bronte's face, draped his arm around my shoulders and casually declared, "I'm Meredith's biggest backer." What, am I not appreciative enough of favors? Edmund Chamberlain and Mr. Harmsworth's faces changed dramatically. Bronte, as white as a sheet, collapsed back into her seat. I stared wide-eyed, my lips trembling in disbelief. "Wilfred Bromley, have you gone mad?" A searing sensation in my stomach came over me like an earth-shattering wave. Disregarding everything, I shook off Wilfred's arm and stumbled out. In the ladies' room, I felt as if I was vomiting pitch black. After years of networking, my alcohol tolerance had improved significantly since my greenhorn days, but my stomach had only gotten worse. After rinsing my mouth, I stood at the sink washing my hands when Winifred called again. Her mood had done a complete 180. "It's so satisfying. I saw Bronte running out of the gentlemen's club in tears, haha." Crispin Tenby couldn't catch up no matter how he tried. I opened my mouth, still unsure how to describe the previous scene to Winifred. I could only stare blankly at myself in the mirror, my eyes wet from vomiting so violently, my hair disheveled. Winifred prattled on, "Surely Crispin Tenby doesn't think Bronte can rest without a care in the world just because she's caught Wilfred Bromley's eye? You couldn't win his heart in 3 years, perhaps Wilfred Bromley sees her as nothing more than a plaything to pass the time. Well, we rely on our abilities." I listened quietly, the burning in my stomach leaving me too weak to respond. That familiar silhouette approached me from afar. The mirror reflected Wilfred Bromley and me, our eyes meeting inadvertently. Seemingly noticing the resistance in my eyes, he took a long stride, placing his arms on either side of the sink, trapping me within his embrace. "You needn't concern yourself with who Wilfred Bromley is with. If he can't give you what you want, it's best to part ways sooner rather than later." The call disconnected at that moment. Wilfred Bromley's fingertips moved away from his mobile screen, his deep eyes fixed on me without blinking. "Can't I give you what you want?" he asked. A smile curled at the corner of his lips, reaching his eyes, yet his tone remained calm, light, and undeniable. "Meredith, come back to me." He wasn't proposing, he was merely beckoning me. This posture reminded me of the first time I attended a networking event. I hadn't expected Wilfred to come and pick me up personally. Seeing the man leaning against the Rolls-Royce, smoking, I almost ran into his arms, intoxicated by alcohol. He maintained that same victorious pose, looking down at me. "Meredith, I allow you to stay by my side." Blinded by love, I didn't even hear the difference between allow and want. I nodded repeatedly, almost in tears, afraid someone else might take my place. Sincere feelings were never equal from the beginning. So I turned my face away and refused, "I won't go back." The veins on the back of his hand, resting on the sink, bulged. After a long silence, Wilfred spoke again. "Meredith, I know what you want. Come back to me, and I'll marry you." His solemn words were pathetically amusing. The separation that had once nearly broken me was, in his eyes, merely my gambit for the title of Mrs. Bromley. I snorted coldly and pushed him away. "Wilfred, don't dream on." His dignified demeanor finally cracked, his eyes narrowing in displeasure. "Are you toying with my feelings?" I laughed unexpectedly. "Were you ever serious about me? I never intended to marry you. Just like in the beginning, when you merely allowed me to stay by your side out of a cat-and-mouse mentality. The truth is, I lied. Although I knew from the start that the vast difference in our social standings meant our affection was nothing more than a fleeting dream. I did once fantasize about marrying Wilfred Bromley. But the Wilfred of the past had no intention of marrying me. Wilfred moved in clean circles, was of impeccable character, and had never had a lover before meeting me or during our time together. I was supposedly his girlfriend. Yet whenever his circle of friends mentioned me, they would only use one phrase, "that little starlet hanging around Wilfred Bromley." The implication was crystal clear. In our first year together, Wilfred brought me to a New Year's Eve party with his social circle. Seeing these trust fund boys who could casually throw away thousands of pounds, I realized that each of them had a different woman on their arm than before. The one closest to Wilfred, cigarette dangling from his lips, looked at me lazily and said, "I say, Bromley old chap, Isn't this the same bird you had last time? His flippant tone made me feel like I was sitting on pins and needles. Wilfred gave him a playful shove, feigning nonchalance. Don't be daft, this is my girlfriend. The man suddenly sat up straight, exclaiming in surprise. I say! Weren't you always the one to walk through a field of flowers without a petal sticking? Weren't you supposed to be above all that? How come you've allowed yourself to be shackled by a relationship now? Wilfred's alluring almond-shaped eyes were quite striking when he smiled. But there was little genuine emotion behind them. Dating isn't marriage, is it? How is that being shackled? In that instant, I suddenly came to my senses. An alarm bell rang in my head, and as I looked at the man I loved, I realized I had been yearning for him every moment. I was discreet and cautious, fantasizing that one day I might warm his heart. But I had overlooked the fact that from the very beginning, he had never truly seen me. My clumsy attempts at love, my seemingly clever staged encounters, my carefully restrained emotions in his eyes, they were all just calculated moves. The cruel truth was revealed on Christmas Eve. In the dimly lit gentlemen's club, I didn't know my alcohol limit. Yet I didn't want to dampen everyone's spirits. With Wilfred Bromley by my side, I always felt at ease. But luck wasn't on my side. After 6 rounds of dice, I had already downed 5 glasses. They were all potent spirits from overseas, deceptively sweet at first sip, but with an unforgettable kick. The glass reflected my flushed cheeks and my increasingly blurry vision in the flickering light. As I raised the 4th glass, a warm male hand gently but firmly gripped my wrist. Wilfred Bromley's touch was neither too light nor too heavy. I looked at him, dazed and confused. But I saw that he had already smoothly taken my glass and drained it in one go. Laughter rippled around us, drink 2 as punishment for drinking on her behalf. My reactions were already quite slow. My blank stare somehow made Wilfred Bromley smile. He took off his suit jacket and draped it over me, his voice low. Have a nap first. I'll avenge you and then take you home. Surprisingly, I actually fell asleep with my head on his lap. At some point, whether it was the choking smell of smoke or the alcohol churning in my stomach, my sleep became restless. In my hazy state, I realized they were no longer playing dice. I heard my name mentioned in their casual conversation. Meredith's been by your side for 3 years, not asking for a car, a house, or even career opportunities. What exactly is she after? Through my blurred vision, I saw the man carelessly exhale a cloud of smoke, his expression indifferent. Who knows what she wants? As long as she's not too greedy, I'll give her what she wants. Hopefully, we can part ways amicably when the time comes. The other person snorted. Aren't you worried you won't be able to shake her off? Wilfred replied lightly, Meredith, she's quite sensible. Suddenly, it felt like an explosion in my ears. In an instant, I felt a chill throughout my body. For 3 years, I had carefully maintained the balance of our relationship. But in the end, it all turned out to be a joke. My so-called love, in their eyes, was always just a game of climbing the social ladder. The joyful laughter of men and women echoed around me. We were supposed to be in love. I kept my eyes closed, pretending to sleep, but the tears flowed uncontrollably. Being in love, loving each other should be enough. I wasn't seeking a perfect ending. But why? Why couldn't I even have this simple wish fulfilled? I thought I wasn't a kept woman, but how was I any different from one? These 3 years, it turns out I was just fooling myself, weaving a Cinderella dream. The Westminster Circle was rife with gossip about my relationship with Wilfred Bromley, painting it as intensely romantic. Little did they know how our evening had ended in discord. When we were together, he always seemed nonchalant, as if he could extricate himself from our affair at any moment. However, when I told him I had never considered marrying him, I witnessed him lose control because of me. I tilted my head, looking at him and recalling everything that had transpired in the private room. Suddenly, a thought occurred to me. I asked softly, Wilfred, have you never actually been with Bronte? He exhaled lightly, no. You don't fancy her either, do you? No, I don't. So, your flirtation with her was just to provoke me, to see my reaction? Yes. He lowered his gaze, as if merely stating a simple fact, like telling me today's weather was cloudy. I looked at him and said, Wilfred, someone like you will never understand love. These words struck his most sensitive nerve. The man's emotions suddenly erupted, his eyes bulging with rage. I don't understand love. Tell me, Meredith, how else am I supposed to understand it? I went to Snowdonia for you. It's the first time in my life I've lost control over my emotions. You say I don't understand love? Meredith, what kind of love do you want? He had lost his usual dignified coolness. I watched his furious state, wondering how to make him understand. Wilfred, your method of using Bronte to change me not only trampled on her but on me as well. In the end, we'll become a laughingstock, two women at odds because of falling for the same man. As for what kind of love I want, Wilfred, when you learn to respect the one you love, you'll find it's the simplest question of all. I pushed him away and left without looking back. Wilfred slammed his fist against the cold white tiles, producing a dull thud. When I was with Wilfred Bromley, I was constantly on edge, terrified that someone might catch even the slightest hint of our relationship. After we parted ways, however, our names became entangled in a whirlwind of showbiz gossip. Wilfred Bromley certainly had the ability to make someone's career skyrocket. That night, I received countless apologetic calls from Edmund Chamberlain. Every word was a plea for me to reconsider taking the leading actress role in this production. This opportunity had come full circle, once again presented before me. But I knew very well that its return wasn't due to the acclaim from my last award-winning performance, nor was it because of my acting skills praised by the audience. It was because Wilfred Bromley had declared that he was my backer. I sighed, but still politely declined, Mr. Chamberlain, I'm not meant for this role. Please find someone else. Several teams were vying for resources that suddenly seemed unwanted, and they all rushed to approach me. I rejected them all as well. Amidst all the commotion, I received a parcel from Tibet. The letter that had traveled over hills and dales contained only a single photograph. It was me, looking carefree and vibrant amongst the colorful prayer flags. Winifred Lumley, ever sharp-eyed, peered over. What's this about? It's not from some obsessed fan, is it? No, it's from Tobias Charlton. Tobias Charlton? Her voice suddenly rose. That new director who won an international award with his debut film? I placed the photo in a suitable frame, introducing his new identity to Winifred. He's now a traveling photographer, Tobias Charlton. On Snowdon, I had an unexpected encounter with Tobias. I made a wish by the prayer flags, and Tobias captured this moment for me. I first met him at Pinewood Studios, where he was working on the set next to mine. It was the dead of winter, and we kept reshooting a scene where I had to fall into water. I was shivering uncontrollably. Winifred was worried about me. The director said it was fine last time, you're just being too perfectionist. My teeth chattering, I tried to make light of it, it's all right, I'm just getting used to the cold. When Wilfred and I go to Snowdonia together, I won't be afraid of freezing. These words happened to reach the ears of Tobias, who was smoking in the corner next door. I covered my mouth, feeling awkward as I looked at him. The man suddenly smiled, his tone clear and bright. Don't worry, I'll keep your secret. So when we met again on Snowdon, he looked at me and asked, as if he knew everything. Did you hang the prayer flags yourself? The Last Chat show finally reached out to me, offering only a small guest appearance in the finale. The show's popularity was soaring, with a star-studded lineup of guests. Winifred Lumley was practically holding a knife to my throat to make me accept. The show was to be broadcast live, and my segment was fairly straightforward. This episode's theme was capturing moments from the past. The regular hosts would visit the home of a guest celebrity, randomly find an item with a ghostly trace, and listen to the guest's story behind it. My flat was tidy enough, there wasn't much to clean up. I had intended to tidy up a few more things, especially a box that held nearly my entire youth, something I couldn't share with others. But before I knew it, the show's crew had suddenly appeared. The moment the doorbell rang, my assistant, following the show's instructions, flung the door wide open. A group of people filed in one after another. The cameraman hoisted his camera, practically shoving it in my face. My bewildered expression was captured in crystal clear detail. The first celebrity to enter was a vivacious presenter. She gave me a huge hug with an enthusiastic surprise, as others began searching my flat for time-worn items. The box containing my old memories was inconspicuous. The presenter's hand passed over it several times as she searched for other things. I was so nervous my palms were sweating. I thought I'd dodged a bullet. However, at the last moment, the presenter picked up that box, exclaiming, "Let's choose this one." The box was dramatically opened in front of the camera. Inside was only a yellowed competition certificate. The presenter smiled as she picked it up, so our Meredith was quite the brain box at university. The camera zoomed in. Her jovial tone faltered. "The name written here is Wilfred Bromley." The live stream exploded. On camera, the presenter whispered in disbelief, "Is this the Wilfred Bromley I think it is?" The situation was already beyond my control. I closed my eyes briefly, resigned as I spoke. "Yes. It's Wilfred Bromley. This is just a story of my 6-year-long unrequited love." In the 7th year, the story unfolded. 3 years after it unfolded, it came to an abrupt end, with no sequel. I fell for Wilfred Bromley at my most vulnerable moment in secondary school. It was pouring rain, like a waterfall, at the end of the school day. My mum came in her electric car with a canopy, but only to pick up my brother. As I stared anxiously out the window at the downpour, I finally decided to borrow my form tutor's phone to call Mom. Her dismissive response cut deep. "Who told you not to bring an umbrella? I've already picked up your brother and brought him home. The car's battery is low, and it's not safe to drive in this rain. Your brother's caught a chill, so I need to make him some chicken soup. You'll have to sort yourself out. Mom, it's really pouring out there." She had always favored my brother over me. My desperate plea only angered her further. "Meredith, can you stop causing me trouble all the time? You're in secondary school now, can't you be more responsible?" But the thing is, my brother's school was so close to mine. Mom could have easily taken a small detour to pick me up too. As the final bell rang, I struggled to push my bicycle through the rain. Tears mingled with raindrops, blurring my vision. That's when Wilfred Bromley appeared. His umbrella briefly sheltered my head, and for a moment, it felt like it was sheltering my heart too. He was a year above me. As he approached graduation, Wilfred chose to study abroad. I only found out about this when I went to the headmaster's office to collect a proposal. On the headmaster's desk sat a lonely box containing Wilfred's physics competition certificate. No one would ever come to claim it now. The person who had turned it into an honor had already left the school. Carefully, I slipped the certificate into my own bag. As I took it away, I had no idea it would become a source of long-lasting nostalgia. In just half an hour, the names of Meredith Standish, Wilfred Bromley, and Bronte Hensley had practically dominated the entire trending list. The online discussions were rife, and the rapidly escalating popularity left me at a loss for how to respond. Having signed the contract, I could only force a smile and finish telling the story. 6 passionate years were lightly glossed over with a single sentence. Actually, it was just a crush on a senior who went abroad. I kept his last award certificate that he didn't take with him before leaving. That's all. It was just a small episode in my life. Of course, the netizens didn't believe such a poor explanation. As the secret of my crush was made public, the resourceful netizens began to dig deep into my university life. They uncovered that before the start of the new term, the university held an event to encourage final-year students. To be able to hug Wilfred Bromley, I had no choice but to wear a teddy bear costume in the hot weather, standing at the entrance waving and hugging many people. They discovered that in the center of the university quad, a learn-to-write signboard was erected. Next to Wilfred Bromley's flamboyant signature, I had left my own delicate handwriting, Meredith Standish. Finally, they unearthed a status I had posted years ago on numerous forgotten social media accounts. It was during a heavy snowstorm in winter. Wearing a bulky down jacket, I stood in front of the top students' board, leaving behind a photo. Wilfred Bromley's red background passport photo was at the very top of the entire board. While all the netizens were reminiscing about my youthful crush, a new trending topic caught everyone's attention. Hashtag Bronte Hensley runs out of club crying, suspected heartbreak hashtag. Attached was an image of Bronte Hensley running heartbroken through the night after that evening's networking event. Bronte Hensley's official account, Standing at the Eye of the Storm, also posted an update. My life is always being shattered. As soon as this status was posted, Bronte's fans immediately began defending their idol, flocking over to hurl abuse at me. As the online debate raged on, Wilfred Bromley made an appearance. My interactions with Miss Hensley were firstly about the compensation she requested, and secondly because I wanted to visit the mountain I had missed. He then posted a video from a car's dash cam. Bronte Hensley was crouching in the square, in the car's blind spot. The driver didn't notice and drove past, the wheel splashing a puddle of water all over Bronte. Bronte, however, with reddened eyes, said pitifully, "Is that Mr. Bromley in the car? This dress was very expensive. I'd like to discuss this with Mr. Bromley." The window lowered halfway, revealing the man's impassive face. "Miss Hensley, what compensation do you want?" Bronte bit her lip, playing up her misfortune quite convincingly. "I don't want money, Mr. Bromley. I lost the opportunity to film a charity project in Tibet, but I really want to go to that place. Could you take me there?" Wilfred Bromley's pupils suddenly constricted. He unconsciously touched the rosary beads on his wrist, to see. Snowdonia. Bronte Hensley was trending on Twitter for all the wrong reasons. Gold digger. Manipulative. Playing the victim. Attention seeker. The controversy sparked a firestorm, with directors and industry insiders who had previously held grudges against Bronte coming out of the woodwork to reveal shocking stories from her past. The ups and downs of social media drama were nothing new to me. But the story of my unrequited love for Wilfred Bromley still managed to trend. I contacted our PR team and had multiple discussions with the company. But it was all to no avail. Winifred sighed helplessly, "This has spread too far, it's practically become national gossip. Twitter even crashed for 3 minutes. How can we possibly retract it? Unless you're willing to spend your entire life savings? The company certainly won't shell out that kind of money. But given that Wilfred Bromley is involved, shouldn't he be able to sort this out in a matter of minutes?" I didn't know. I just felt utterly drained. I lay in bed sleeping until late into the night. When I woke up, the internet had suddenly gone quiet. The discussion about Wilfred and me had vanished without a trace, while the criticism of Bronte still dominated the trending topics. I stared blankly at my phone when suddenly Wilfred Bromley's name popped up. When I answered, his voice was slurred and husky, with a hint of choked sobbing. "Meredith. I'm sorry. I finally understand what kind of love you wanted, but I've realized it too late. But you clearly liked me so much. How can you be so resolute in not responding now, of all times?" His tone fluctuated erratically, like a child desperately trying to express everything at once. I gripped my phone tightly. "Wilfred, I could have a one-sided crush on you, but during those 3 years we were together. Your superior attitude, your suspicion that I had ulterior motives. The way you treated me like a pet you could cuddle or discard it, well, I could never find an equal footing between us. How can two people who like each other remain so unequal? I didn't know. I really didn't know. Meredith, forgive my ignorance." I spoke slowly, "There's still so much you don't know. You don't know that I used to watch you from the 4th-floor glass corridor as you played on the basketball court. You don't know that the hair accessory I wore at the matriculation ceremony speech, when we brushed past each other, was your favorite flower. You don't know that for our chance encounters at the school gates each morning, I calculated the timing day after day, only to bend down to tie my shoelace just as you passed by. You don't know that on the day you left for abroad, I rushed to the airport in pouring rain but couldn't see you one last time. You don't know the wild joy I felt when we met again, or how my heart raced yet I was so careful when I manufactured our coincidental meetings. Or how your hot and cold aloofness hurt me repeatedly, forcing me to heal myself countless times. You also don't know that right after we broke up, I cried over and over, afraid to turn off the lights at night or be alone in a room. I almost couldn't move on. All that time I liked you as my willing choice. When you thought I was just a greedy person who didn't know my place, you didn't know that from the very beginning, being with you was simply what I wanted. I used to think I would keep these words to myself forever. But I never imagined there would come a day when I could say them so freely. So you see, there's no hurdle in life that's truly insurmountable. We must all look ahead. I've really let go." Before hanging up, I still thanked Wilfred. "Thank you for taking down the trending topic that was making me so anxious." He laughed bitterly. "I wasn't the one who removed the trend. I selfishly wanted to use it to maintain our last connection. I finally managed to get in touch with Tobias the next day. In the video call, he looked even more tan than the last time I'd seen him. Behind him, I could see blue skies, white clouds, and the clear waters of Lake Windermere. All the things I had been planning to say seemed unnecessary the moment I saw his face. After a brief moment of silence, I started, "Tobias, then." He quickly cut me off, holding up some litter he had collected from the shores of Lake Windermere. "Don't say thank you. Your brother's been making a bit of pocket money picking up rubbish lately. More than I can spend, really." I received another batch of photos from Tobias Charlton. Just last week, he was riding horses freely across the Yorkshire Dales, where the unobstructed green fields seemed to merge with the vast blue sky. In the blink of an eye, he had whisked himself away to the Lake District. Finally, he sent me a picture of the dazzling starry sky over Lake Windermere, with countless stars spread across the heavens. "Meredith, the night sky in the Lake District is beautiful. Next time you make a wish, remember to do it upon a shooting star," Tobias wrote. Tobias always gives off an air of freedom, like the wind itself. He's the young director who won an international award for his debut film. He's the spoiled rich boy who refused to inherit his family's vast business empire. He's also the travel photographer willing to abandon all his fame to journey across the entire United Kingdom. Yet it was this same person who said to me atop Snowdon, "Meredith, there are no such things as coincidences. I didn't just happen to wander here by chance. I've managed to escape the Snowdonia that had trapped me. I think it's time for me to chase after my own starry sky."